Unleashing your inner genius, the revolutionary power of challenging assumptions. Welcome to a journey that will challenge everything you thought you knew about human potential. Today, we're diving deep into the transformative insights of an extraordinary visionary, Danette Crowell. Her wisdom isn't just inspiring, it's revolutionary. It has the power to reshape our world, one mind at a time. Danette Crowell isn't just a leader, she's a catalyst for change. Her impact on making the world a better place is nothing short of phenomenal. She challenges us to rethink our perspectives in ways that are both disruptive and profoundly inspiring. Her insights don't just push boundaries, they shatter them. Now, let me ask you a question that might make you uncomfortable. Have you ever wondered why some of the most brilliant ideas never see the light of day? Why groundbreaking innovations often struggle to gain traction? The answer might shock you, and it's at the heart of what we're exploring today. We live in a world where we're constantly told that only them and they have the power to make significant changes. It's a narrative so deeply ingrained in our collective psyche that we rarely question it. But what if I told you that this widely accepted belief is not just wrong, but actively holding us back from realizing our full potential? Let's start with a provocative thought. Truth trumps facts every time. Now, before you dismiss this as mere wordplay, let me explain. Facts are static, unchanging pieces of information. Truth, on the other hand, is dynamic, evolving, and deeply personal. It's the difference between knowing something and understanding it. It's the difference between reciting information and having wisdom. Danette Crowell's insights challenge us to reconsider our fundamental assumptions about human potential and the nature of success. She posits that we all have gifts, each of us given the measure of faith. This isn't just a feel good platitude, it's a radical reimagining of how we view human capability. Consider this. Ecclesiastes 5:9 tells us the profit of the earth is for all, not for the select few, not for the privileged, but for all. This simple statement flies in the face of our competitive, zero sum mindset that dominates much of our thinking about success and achievement. It challenges us to think beyond scarcity and into abundance. But here's where it gets really interesting. Danette argues that assuming is the first error. Think about that for a moment. How often do we make decisions based on assumptions? How often do we limit ourselves or others based on preconceived notions? Our assumptions are like invisible chains, holding us back from our true potential. Let's dive deeper into this idea. Imagine you're in a room full of strangers. Your natural instinct might be to make quick judgments about who they are, what they're capable of, based on superficial observations. But what if, instead of assuming, you approach each person with curiosity and openness? What if you saw each individual as a universe of untapped potential? Uh, this shift in perspective can be transformative. It opens us up to learning from every encounter, every class, every interaction. It allows us to see the potential in others that they might not even see in themselves. It's about recognizing that genius doesn't always come in the package we expect. But Danette's wisdom doesn't stop there. She challenges us to recognize that what we already have and are using is enough. This flies in the face of our consumer driven culture that constantly tells us we need more education, more resources, more connections, to succeed. It's a radical idea in a world that's always pushing us to acquire more. Now, you might be thinking, that sounds nice, but is it practical in the real world? Let me share a story that illustrates this principle in action. There was a small startup in Silicon Valley that was struggling to compete with tech giants. They didn't have the resources, the manpower, or the brand recognition of their competitors. But what they did have was a unique perspective and a willingness to challenge assumptions. Instead of trying to outspin or outmaneuver their competitors, they focused on what they had: a small, dedicated team with diverse skills. They leveraged these existing resources in innovative ways, finding creative solutions to problems that the bigger companies were overlooking. The result? They developed a groundbreaking product that revolutionized their industry, not because they had more, but because they fully utilized what they already had. They turned their limitations into their greatest strengths. This story exemplifies Danette's philosophy. It's not about having more, it's about recognizing and maximizing the value of what you already possess. It's about seeing abundance where others see scarcity. But let's push this idea even further. What if we applied this principle not just to business, but to how we approach societal challenges? What if, instead of always looking for external solutions, We started by fully utilizing the resources and talents already present in our communities. Imagine the impact this could have on issues like education, poverty, or climate change. By shifting our focus from what we lack to what we already have, we open up new possibilities for innovation and progress. We start to see solutions where before we only saw problems. Now, I could almost hear some of you thinking, this sounds too good to be true. Surely, if it were this simple, everyone would be doing it. And you're right to be skeptical. This approach isn't easy. It requires a fundamental shift in how we think about ourselves, others, and the world around us. It demands that we challenge our assumptions, that we remain open to learning from every experience, and that we have the courage to see potential where others see limitations. It requires us to be vulnerable, to admit that we don't have all the answers, and to be open to learning from unexpected sources. But here's the thing, the difficulty of this approach doesn't negate its power. In fact, it's precisely because it's challenging that it's so transformative. It's in pushing past our comfort zones that we discover our true capabilities. Let's consider another example. Think about the most successful people you know, the innovators, the game changers, the ones who've made a real difference in the world. What sets them apart isn't necessarily their intelligence, their resources, or their connections. It's their mindset. They're the ones who refuse to be limited by conventional wisdom. They're the ones who see possibilities where others see obstacles. They're the ones who understand that their greatest asset isn't what they have, but how they think. They're the ones who have mastered the art of challenging assumptions. This is the essence of Danette Crowell's message. It's about cultivating a mindset that allows us to see beyond the surface, to challenge our assumptions, and to recognize the potential in ourselves and others. It's about understanding that our greatest limitations are often self-imposed. But let's be clear, this isn't about positive thinking or wishful dreaming. It's about a fundamental shift in how we perceive and interact with the world around us. It's about developing a mindset of curiosity, openness, and possibility. It's about recognizing that every interaction, every experience, every challenge is an opportunity for growth and learning. It's about understanding that our assumptions often limit us more than our circumstances do. It's about having the courage to question everything, especially the things we think we know for sure. Now, you might be wondering, how do I actually apply this in my life? Great question. Let's break it down into actionable steps. First, challenge your assumptions. The next time you find yourself making a quick judgment about a personal situation, pause. Ask yourself, what am I assuming here? What might I be missing? This simple act of questioning can open up new possibilities you never considered before. Second, look for learning opportunities everywhere. Whether you're in a formal class, a casual conversation, or even facing a setback, ask yourself, what can I learn from this? How can this experience help me grow? Every moment becomes an opportunity for growth when you approach it with curiosity. Third, take stock of your resources, not just your material possessions or financial assets, but your skills, your experiences, your relationships. How can you leverage these in new and innovative ways? You might be surprised at the wealth of resources you already have at your disposal. Fourth, embrace the power of your unique perspective. Your experiences, your background, your way of seeing the world, these are invaluable assets. Don't underestimate their worth. Your unique perspective might be the key to solving problems that have stumped others. Finally, and perhaps most importantly, cultivate faith in yourself and others. Remember, we all have gifts. We all have potential. Sometimes all it takes is for someone to believe in us for that potential to be realized. Be that person for yourself and for others. Now, I can hear some of you thinking, this all sounds great in theory, but how does it work in practice? Let me share another story that illustrates these principles in action. There was a teacher working in an underfunded school in a challenging neighborhood. The conventional wisdom said that these students were destined for failure, but this teacher refused to accept that assumption. Instead of seeing limitations, she saw potential. She didn't have fancy technology or extensive resources, but she had faith in her students and a willingness to think creatively. She refused to be bound by the assumptions that society had placed on her students. She leveraged the unique experiences and perspectives of her students. turning their challenges into learning opportunities. She built connections within the community, bringing in local professionals to mentor her students. She saw the wealth of resources that already existed in the community and found innovative ways to tap into them. The result? Her students not only exceeded academic expectations, but also developed a sense of empowerment and possibility that transformed their outlook on life. They began to see themselves not as victims of their circumstances, but as architects of their own futures. This teacher didn't have more resources than her colleagues. She didn't have any special advantages. What she had was a different mindset, one that aligned perfectly with the principles Danette Crowell espouses. She had the courage to challenge assumptions and the wisdom to see potential where others saw only limitations. Now, imagine if we applied this mindset on a larger scale. What if businesses saw their employees not as replaceable cogs, but as unique individuals with untapped potential? What if governments approached societal challenges not from a deficit mindset, but from a perspective of abundance and possibility? The implications are staggering. We could see innovations we never thought possible. We could solve problems that have long seemed intractable. We could create a world where everyone's potential is recognized and valued. We could revolutionize education, healthcare, business, and every other aspect of our society. But here's the catch. This change starts with you. It starts with me. It starts with each of us choosing to challenge our assumptions, to see the potential in ourselves and others, to approach each day with curiosity and openness. It starts with us having the courage to question the status quo and the wisdom to see beyond surface level appearances. It's not always easy. There will be times when it's tempting to fall back on old patterns of thinking. There will be setbacks and disappointments. But remember, as Danette Crowell reminds us, what you already have is enough. You have within you the power to make a difference, to innovate, to lead. So I want to leave you with a challenge. For the next week, commit to challenging your assumptions. Look for the potential in every person you meet, every situation you encounter. Approach each day with the mindset that you have something to learn, something to contribute. And as you do this, pay attention to how it changes your perspective. Notice how it opens up new possibilities, new connections, new ideas. Notice how it transforms not just your external world, but your internal landscape as well. Remember, you are not just a passive observer in this world. You are a city, a statement of God's inexhaustible ability. You have within you the power to transform not just your own life, but the lives of those around you. You have the power to challenge assumptions, to see potential where others see limitations, to believe in the power of what you already possess. The world doesn't need more people who blindly accept the status quo. It needs individuals who are willing to question everything, to see possibility where others see impossibility, to believe in the untapped potential that exists in every human being. You have that power. The question is, will you use it? Will you have the courage to challenge your own assumptions? Will you have the wisdom to see beyond surface appearances? Will you have the faith to believe in the potential that exists within you and within others? This is your moment. This is your opportunity to rewrite the rules, to challenge the assumptions that have held you back, to unlock the potential that has always existed within you. This is your chance to be a catalyst for change, to be a beacon of possibility in a world that too often settles for the status quo. So I challenge you, go forth from this moment with new eyes. See the world not as it is, but as it could be. Challenge your assumptions, question everything. Look for potential in unexpected places. Believe in the power of what you already possess. Because when you do, you'll discover that you're capable of far more than you ever imagined. You'll discover that the limitations you thought were holding you back were largely self-imposed. You'll discover that you have the power to change not just your own life, but the world around you. This is your call to action. This is your moment to embrace a new way of thinking, a new way of seeing the world. This is your opportunity to unleash your inner genius, to tap into the potential that has always existed within you. The world is waiting for your unique contribution. It's waiting for you to challenge assumptions, to see possibilities where others see only obstacles, to believe in the power of human potential. So I ask you, are you ready to answer that call? Are you ready to challenge your assumptions and unleash your inner genius? Are you ready to be a force for change in a world that desperately needs new perspectives? The choice is yours. The power is within you. The time is now. Let's change the world one assumption at a time. Thank you.